The Matt Nagy rumors are heating up, Chiefs Kingdom. Today, we are going to be breaking down Matt Nagy's connection to a number of open head coaching jobs, how I feel about that, how I feel about potentially losing Matt Nagy this coaching cycle. And then we're going to talk about, if we did lose him, who could come in and replace him. A few replacement options for Matt Nagy. But first, let's talk about where this is all coming from. From Tom Pelissero on Twitter today, he said the Raiders and Cardinals have requested interviews with Chiefs offensive coordinator Matt Nagy for their head coaching jobs. Sources tell the insiders Nagy is now set to interview with Tennessee and Las Vegas on Thursday and Arizona on Friday. And of course, we already knew about that Tennessee interview. That's something we've talked about a number of times here on the Chiefs Report. Something my real ones are well aware of via our shorts and our VOD. So if you're not already subscribed, hit that sub button and make sure you're up to date. But to be honest with you guys, and I've expressed this before, this whole sentiment around Nagy being a head coach is unbelievable to me. It is absolutely ridiculous that Matt Nagy is getting serious head coaching buzz in the year 2026. After the season he is coming off of in Kansas City, with all of us begging for him to go, I literally have said this before, I'll say it again. I want Matt Nagy fired, even if he doesn't leave to go get another job. If Tennessee decides, and I think it would be the right decision for Tennessee, just weighing in here, to not hire Matt Nagy, the Raiders decide they're out on him, the Cardinals decide they're out on him, if all those franchises make, in my opinion, the right decision for their future and don't go with Nagy, we should make the right decision for our future and fire his ass because he stinks. He's terrible. If you agree with me, if you want Matt Nagy out in 2026, if you want to see a new face in the Chiefs offensive coordinator role for the Chiefs offensive staff to push Andy Reid, talk about that more later, like today's video. Let me know. Send the message to the Chiefs. Make this video the most liked video in the Chiefs Kingdom today so that it reaches guys like Brett Veach, like Andy Reid, and they see it and they say, hey, you know what? Nagy's got to get the hell out of here. But maybe we don't have to fire him. Like I talked about, there are, for whatever reason, a couple teams interested in promoting Matt Nagy. Vertical failure seems to be a theme in the NFL lately. The Tennessee Titans, the Las Vegas Raiders, and the Arizona Cardinals. And if you think about the theme with all three of these teams, young quarterbacks. Cam Ward, already there in Tennessee. Raiders likely to draft Fernando Mendoza this year. Cardinals likely lined up to draft a quarterback in the first round as well. Maybe that's Dante Moore, whoever that is. But I think the narrative around Nagy coming in as a young quarterback developer, which clearly that's what all three of these teams see in him, is highly overrated. Here's some stats on that. The narrative that he improves offenses, in my opinion, the narrative that he develops quarterbacks, ridiculous. Patrick Mahomes era Chiefs yards per play rankings. First in 2018. 2019 we were second. 2020 we were second. 2021 first. 2022 first. 2023 you hire Matt Nagy, 9th. 2024 22nd. 2025 23rd. And hey, some injuries to Mahomes definitely influenced that, but 3 straight seasons of decline for this offense under Matt Nagy. I'll say it again. Vertical failure. That's what this is. There's no other way to describe it. This is failing upwards. You shouldn't get to do it. You shouldn't get to be bad at your job, make your workplace decline for 3 consecutive years, performance declines at your workplace. Imagine you work at a factory. You come in and the 3 years you work there, output slows down all 3 years, just doot, 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 and then you get promoted to factory manager at another factory. That would not happen. That would be ridiculous. Yet, there's a chance that that happens for Matt Nagy. Pretty unbelievable, in my opinion. But again, good news for us because it affords you the opportunity to move on from this guy, to go in a different direction on offense. And in my opinion, that would be the right move. And we're going to talk about a couple guys who could be that new direction on offense in just a minute here. But first, we've got to give a shout out to the sponsor of today's video. That is Prize Picks. This episode is brought to you by Prize Picks. Whether you're starting a new routine or making player picks for the first time, trying something new can be hard. But in life and on Prize Picks, it always feels good to be right. With high-pressure playoff matchups every weekend and elite hoops action almost every night, the action never stops. And Prize Picks lets you take control. Prize Picks now has early payouts, guys. So if your player gets off to a hot start, you now have the option to cash out those winnings before the game even finishes. Here's my lineup for this weekend's playoff matchups. Here's what I've got going. We've got the more on Stafford and Nakua in the Carolina versus LA game, and we're taking the more on Drake May as well. Like I always say, guys, life is too short to ever take the less. You could tail me on this lineup. You could fade me on this lineup. Whatever you do, just do it at Prize Picks because they put their users first, so all withdrawals are fast and secure. They accept most major payment methods, making deposits into your account quick and easy this sports season. Download the Prize Picks app today and use code CLNS to get $50 in lineups after you play your first $5 lineup. That's code CLNS to get $50 in lineups after you play your first $5 lineup. Prize Picks, it's good to be right. Let's talk about some potential options to replace Matt Nagy. Maybe the right options. These first two, though, I'm going to be upfront with you guys. They're on this list for one reason, and it's so that I can disqualify them both. In my opinion, no disrespect to these two guys. They would both be fine coordinators pretty much anywhere else. But I've got a principle about the coaching search this year at offensive coordinator. Kafka and Bienemy cannot be the pick because I do not want a retread. Both of those guys are former Chiefs offensive coordinators. They led fine Chiefs offenses while they are here, or were here, excuse me. But what I don't want to see is Andy Reid regressing back into the old habits. What worked when those guys were here isn't working anymore. I want new ideas for this Chiefs offense. If I've said it once, I've said it 1,000 times. I want someone to come in and challenge Andy Reid, specifically as it pertains to his frequency with which he runs the ball. I want to see this Chiefs offense focus on establishing the run next season. You've got the offensive line to do it. What you don't have is the running backs. We've talked about that over and over again. You can address it in free agency. We'll talk about it later in this video. But I think for Andy Reid to really make that move, it requires serious changes on the offensive staff around him. Someone who can come in and push him to make that change. If you agree with me, I want you to like the video. Again, this goes back to sending that message to the Chiefs front office that this is what the majority of the fan base wants. This is how we feel, and they need to know it. If you agree with me, like today's video, get this video on the desk of Brett Veach. I want him to watch it. I want him to see this, and I want him to realize Nagy's got to go. Andy Reid needs to be challenged this offseason. He absolutely does. And maybe a former head coach, someone who's been a head coach for a couple seasons over the last few years, could be the guy to do it. Mike McDaniel. Obviously, he hasn't been fired yet. It's kind of an interesting option here. Why have Mike McDaniel on this list when he still technically has a job? I'll be honest with you guys. Don't think he's going to have one for too much longer. Josina Anderson on Twitter today said, I'm told the Dolphins have been in touch with John Harbaugh, per league sources, or actually on John Harbaugh, per league sources. So, if the Dolphins are potentially thinking about hiring John Harbaugh, which, let's be honest, if you're thinking about head coaching options, Mike McDaniel has not been a great fit in Miami over the last few years. Hasn't gone well for him, but he was a fantastic offensive coordinator prior to that. John Harbaugh would be an upgrade for them, but Mike McDaniel would be a massive upgrade at OC for us. This could be a huge win-win for both Miami and Kansas City. They get their head coach of the future in John Harbaugh. We get our OC of the future in Mike McDaniel. Some guys, Spag's a great example of it, in my opinion, are just better as coordinators. And I think Mike McDaniel is a great example of that. And when you look at his offenses in his time in Miami and prior to that in Washington, they were fantastic. And in San Francisco as well. This guy is a offensive guru, especially as it pertains to the run game. Devon Achane this year was phenomenal for Miami. He's been great over the last couple seasons as well. And I think we could go out and get Mike McDaniel and then get Mike McDaniel his next agent. And that could be Breece Hall or Jeremiah Love. You take your pick on this one. It's up to me, and I had a short out on this the other day. I think Breece Hall makes a ton of sense and aligns with the proposed plan for Chiefs free agency of attacking running back. Go out and get him, save that first-round pick for something else. But I know a lot of you guys are big Jeremiah Love fans. I like Jeremiah Love as well. Either way you slice that pie, you've got an amazing weapon for Mike McDaniel, who I think could be a huge upgrade for this offense. Let's talk about another guy, another former head coach as well, a little less recently, Kliff Kingsbury. Kingsbury's been circulating. He was fired yesterday, mutually parted ways with Washington yesterday. Very clear. He was not fired. It was initially reported as a firing, but it was actually that they mutually parted ways. But the Commanders' offensive coordinator is out in Washington and getting a couple head coaching interviews. But if none of those stick, maybe he would want to be the Chiefs' offensive coordinator and work with Mahomes again. If you don't recall, he coached Mahomes at Texas Tech. He was his college head coach. Could a reunion between the two make sense? To me, I'm going to be completely honest with you guys, I have a lot of questions about how this would play out. Kingsbury's had a lot of success at times in his career. Really good year with Jaden Daniels. Really great start in Arizona. Obviously, Patrick Mahomes had his highs at Texas Tech. But I think the major question mark with Kliff Kingsbury, is schematic. I don't want him to bring a college offense to the Kansas City Chiefs. That's the biggest issue that I have with him. His offense is a college offense. That's a big part of the reason, reportedly, why he was dismissed in Washington, is because they don't want that fit for Jaden Daniels long term. That hasn't been the fit for Mahomes since he was at Texas Tech. I don't think we should regress him back to that. That's part of my take on it. And the other part, which is almost just as big, this guy is categorically a loser. And I know that's mean, but facts are facts, man. Everywhere he's been, loser. 35-40 at Texas Tech, 28-37 at Arizona, 17-17 in Washington. A lot of injuries piled up this season for him, so cut him a little slack. But his best 2-year tenure as a coordinator or head coach since 2013 is 500. He is 80-94 since 2013. Not great to me. I'm not impressed, to say the least. Who do you want, though? Let me know in the comments. Do you want Kliff Kingsbury type KK? Do you want Mike McDaniel type MM? Not MNM, but just MM. KK or MM? Let me know in the comments, who do you want to see the Chiefs hire as their next offensive coordinator? And that'll do it for this episode of the Chiefs Report by Chat Sports. We will see you guys in the next one, where we'll break down the perfect offseason plan for the Kansas City Chiefs. So make sure you subscribe if you haven't already so you don't miss it, and we will see you then. Let's go Chiefs.